Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If becoming a mangaka in One Piece world. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 751, The Early Appearance of the Blackbeard Pirates. Chapter's Events. Say ha ha ha. Blackbeard's evil laugh echoed through Marineford Plaza. There's no mistake. Those are the death row inmates from Impel Down's level 6. Why are they here? They've all committed crimes so heinous that their very existence has been erased. They're the world's worst criminals. We can't let even a single one of them escape. One of the vice-admirals felt threatened upon seeing the criminals who had escaped from Impel Down. That giant creature is. It's the colossal battleship, San Juan Wolf. The Marine announced the identity of the largest among them. Ah! They saw and recognized me. San Juan Wolf said mockingly. The corrupt king, Avalo Pizarro. Another identity was recognized. It's been a while since I've been out, Avalo Pizarro said cheerfully. Topu topu topu. Can I kill these guys? Beside him, another prison escapee laughed strangely and proposed killing the Marines who had identified him, the heavy drinker, Vasco shot. Immediately after, a highly dangerous female pirate was identified. The Crescent Moon Hunter, Katarina Devon. Niran Fufu, I like you guys. She had a sensual and alluring body but an extremely ugly face. The Marine retreated in horror after recognizing the last identity. And Shiryu of the Rain, the head guard from Impel Down. What's going on here? Shiryu, you. Sengoku looked at Shiryu with an angry expression and asked. What happened to Magellan? What happened at Impel Down? How did you all get here? You can go figure it out later. Anyway, I'm sticking with these guys. Pleased to be here, Shiryu replied sarcastically to Sengoku. Impel Down, level 4. Can you believe it? Katarina Devon looked at the prisoner recently placed in her cell since they were on the same level. Katarina Devon had been stuck in Impel Down due to falsifying her identity as an official hunter to become one after earning a good reputation. But before that could happen, she was accidentally captured by world government agents and mercilessly thrown into Impel Down. She was holding a manga volume and reading the part where she appeared for the first time with gleaming eyes. More than ever before. Topu topu topu. This is interesting. The same applied to the 18-year-old young man in the cell with her, who was the recently captured and notoriously rising pirate who had been mercilessly thrown into Impel Down by the Marines. Vasco shot. Although it wasn't his fate to be captured this quickly, the same applied to Katarina Devon. Without the influence of the One Piece manga, which literally changed everything in the world and what should have been, both Katarina Devon and Vasco Shot were supposed to be captured after many years when they would spread terror in the seas as pirates and commit heinous crimes against humanity, then they would be placed in level 6 and erased from history. But what they had done so far was negligible. In the eyes of the Marines and the world government, they were just a rising pirate with some potential and a small-time fake hunter trying to cling to the Great Hunter Guild's thigh. That was the case at least before this chapter. The two looked at each other wickedly and laughed. Niran Furafu. I didn't expect to be an ally of Blackbeard in the manga. An ally of the biggest antagonist in the story. Is this my fate? She said after laughing for a long time. She was just a 16-year-old girl, but after knowing this fate, she was enveloped by an adult aura similar to the aura of the evil woman she was in the manga. I will no longer be a hunter, I will become a pirate. She turned to the cell gate to see Shiryu standing and looking at them with a smile. Topu 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 topu. This is expected of my counterpart, he must be having a lot of fun. Killing some Marines is not a bad idea after all. Vasco added with his distinctive laugh before glancing at the person standing in front of their cell. It seems you've already made up your minds? Saying this, Shiryu opened their cell and added, "Follow me, we don't have much time," he says, throwing up the handcuff keys. Hearing that, both stood up, their wicked smiles never leaving their faces. At Impel Down's level 6. In an enormously large cell, a certain giant was struggling to read a small manga book in his hand. Unlike his appearance in the manga where he stood over 180 meters tall, his height at this moment barely reached 30 meters. He looked like an ordinary giant. This person was Sanwan Wolf, a young giant from Elbaf, only 77 years old. After eating a devil fruit that allowed him to increase his size multiple times, he caused humanitarian disasters such as destroying human villages and killing everyone in them under his steps. He was chased by the world government and mercilessly thrown into level 6 of Impel Down. At this moment, he was enjoying reading this small book, even though he didn't understand what was happening since he hadn't read all the previous chapters from the beginning of the manga, but just seeing his counterpart standing there as a member of the Blackbeard Pirates filled him with an indescribable feeling of satisfaction. "Kamamamama, this is fun, that evil Blackbeard guy will be my captain? I kind of like that. Zihahaha. Is that true? I also like you being part of my crew." At this moment, Teach reached where Sanwan Wolf was and said with his usual laugh, "I also accept joining your crew, since fate desires it, why not?" A voice came from a cell not far from Sanwan Wolf's cell. Teach kept his wicked smile, looking more like his manga counterpart despite his young age and still lacking a black beard. But his eyes were filled with an evil gleam and maturity gained from his manga counterpart. The person who spoke was the younger version of the corrupt king of Avalo Pizarro, 20 years old, who was chased by hunters controlling the Four Seas after his conspiracy to overthrow his father, the king of the Caraba Kingdom in North Blue, was discovered. After narrowly escaping, he ran into a celestial dragon ship in the Grand Line, and attempted to steal it, but was severely defeated by the guards on board and was thrown into level 6 and Impel Down ever since. At this moment, he also had a manga book in his hand and was reading it excitedly. He never expected fate to have such a twist. Zihahaha. Welcome to Avalo Pizarro. It's good that fate has given us the chance to meet so early. We will be a terrifying crew after a few years. As soon as he said that, Teach opened the cells of both Sanwan Wolf and Avalo Pizarro and signaled them to follow him, completely ignoring the cries of the other prisoners in level 6 who wanted to go with him. Zihahaha. Why should I care about mobs that weren't even mentioned by Ivankov in the manga, let alone appear? These two are the ones worth taking with me. Teach responded harshly to their request. In his view, no matter how strong the mobs were, as long as the One Piece manga didn't acknowledge them, they didn't exist, completely unqualified to have any role in what was happening now and what would happen in the future. At the moment he exited the bath, Magellan felt the entire Impel Down building shake. What's happening here? Magellan's expression changed. It can't be that Whitebeard is paying a visit, right? Hannibal said sarcastically. Stop the sarcasm. Something serious is happening. Magellan felt a bad feeling, and before he could react, both heard a loud explosion. Boom! Most of the guards across all levels of Impel Down lost their balance and fell on their backsides. Magellan and Hannibal's eyes widened as they saw a massive piece of the ceiling falling on their heads. Impel Down was collapsing. Chapter 752, Whitebeard vs. Blackbeard. At Marine Ford. For what reason did we allow them to act as they please in Impel Down? Sengoku glared at the Blackbeard pirates gathered on the manga page who were unleashing their malevolent spirits, ready to execute their ultimate plan and reveal their intentions here and now. Specifically, Sengoku was looking at Marshal D, Teach and Shiryu, who were currently responsible for the Grand Prison under the jurisdiction of the government and Marines. These two were the prison warden and his deputy, the head guard. For heaven's sake. I don't feel good about them. Manga. Immediately contact Impel Down, I want to know the current situation there, now. Sengoku shouted. Mamanga nodded and quickly stood up, hastily searching for a Den Mushi to communicate with Impel Down, and began the usual routine call. But now it seemed urgent. Mangaka had never seen the fleet admiral this worried before. Calm down, Sengoku. As you know, Teach and his crew aren't as strong now as they are in the manga. What can they do even if they rebel? Zephyr spoke with conviction. Trusting pirates and employing them to guard Impel Down, have the five elders gone senile? It's obvious a pirate would turn traitor no matter what. Just give me the orders, Fleet Admiral, and I'll dig into his gut with my magma's hand as my counterpart did to Ace in the manga. Akainu suggested with a violent expression. I'm the fastest, I can reach there in a flash dash. Before Kizaru could finish his words, they all heard Momonga's anxious voice. Fleet Admiral, they say that Impel Down is collapsing. Pa! Sengoku slapped his desk and stood up. What did you say? Chaos is rampant. What you sensed was right, Fleet Admiral. The guard who answered my call was screaming in the end, probably crushed under the debris. Momanga said with a trembling expression. What did they do to Impel Down? Borsellino, hurry. Go. Take full control of the situation before we get there. Roger. I'll contact the five elders, Sengoku said. For a moment, everyone forgot about the One Piece manga due to the urgent events. The chaos at Impel Down had just begun. Chapters Events. If the government saw me as an enemy while I was a pirate, I wouldn't have been able to open the gates and infiltrate Impel Down. Teach began to talk about his goal of joining the Shichibukai in the first place. The only reason I sought the Shichibukai title was for this. I don't need it anymore. You were planning on freeing them all along. Sengoku wanted final confirmation. Say ha ha ha. Yes, everything was about this from the start. Now you understand. With that, Blackbeard confirmed everything. Sengoku gritted his teeth in hatred. After all, he had been deceived by a vile pirate. Teach. Whitebeard's terrifying voice came at that moment. Captain, look out. Blackbeard's expression darkened upon hearing his father's dreadful voice. Then the world shook as a terrifying earthquake hit the place they were standing, destroying the remaining Marineford's building. Oh, you're not holding back. I guess not. Teach said with a vile expression. I won't call you my son anymore, Teach. You killed one of your comrades. Breaking the only ironclad rule on my ship. Whitebeard spoke about Teach's sin that deserved death. By killing this idiot, 4th Squad Commander Sachai can rest in peace. Say ha ha ha. That's just what I want. Black hole. Darkness spread from Teach's body, reaching Whitebeard's feet. Sachai is dead, and so is Ace, old man. I truly respected you, admired you. But you grew old. So old that you couldn't save one of your men. Even though I let him live at Bonero Island. The mockery towards Whitebeard was clear in his voice at that moment. That bastard. Vista was provoked by these words. What's this black stuff? The marine soldiers were astonished by the pitch-black darkness at their feet. Whitebeard ignored his rebellious son's words and wanted to use force to crush him instead. Oh, there's no use. All powers are useless against me. Black whirlpool. A black vortex appeared from Teach's hand, cancelling the earthquake power entirely. Zihahaha, how's that? You can't make any more earthquakes, Teach mocked, laughing. Oh. Go wah. But before he realized it, he screamed in intense pain when he was harshly stabbed by Whitebeard's Naginata. Back at the art store in Sphinx. Rob had a long smile on his face as he watched Whitebeard catching up on the events of the battle between him and his fallen son. This arrogance is due to the power of that fruit, isn't it? Whitebeard wondered. Of course, his question was directed at Rob. Ha! That's right, this power that nullifies most devil fruit powers is indeed an interesting power, its owner may drown in delusions of grandeur. Rob replied calmly. But extreme arrogance is a fatal weakness, even an old man on the verge of death can exploit it well, isn't that right? Garararara. Ha ha ha. That's right, look how he's in pain, the double pain must be a hefty price to pay for such power. Rob laughed as he said that. What a villain, what a schemer, What a bastard. If I had read this chapter back then, I would have killed him in his cell instead of letting him escape. Marco felt hatred and sorrow for not killing Teach when he had the chance. He's a first-rate antagonist, not easy to kill as you know. Rob said, smiling. There are those who wish to keep him alive for me perhaps. He added afterward. The world government, isn't it? I heard they recruited him as the warden of Impel Down, and gave him that devil fruit too. Whitebeard said. That's right, but they will regret it very soon, just wait for their news, you'll see how funny it is. Anyway, this kid will die by my hand. I won't let him continue living, he reminds me of Rox, he'll reach those heights with such an evil heart. Really? Then I'll leave this matter for you to handle afterward. Hearing that from Whitebeard, Rob nodded. After all, what appeared in the manga and what will appear afterward is enough to make many monsters of this era hunt both Blackbeard and Akainu ruthlessly until they send them to the other world. Rob won't need to do anything but focus on drawing more chapters. Well, as long as that Ima stays in her castle and refuses to come out, Rob won't do anything but focus on entertaining the world with his manga and anime. Batarilla. Inside the art store, Shanks stared with hateful eyes at Blackbeard, who was boasting about the power of darkness. He remembered what Captain Roger said after they returned from Laughtail and learned all the secrets of this world. There is one among those with the letter D in their name. It is, the most sinister. So, it is you after all. Chapter 753, The End of a Great Man. Chapter's Events. Ha! Damn it! That hurts. Blackbeard's blood splattered as he fell, screaming. Your weakness is that you overestimate yourself and get careless. Whitebeard said, then grabbed his treacherous son by the head, intending to end him as punishment for all his deeds. Hey, stop. Kaya. The power of the earthquake covered Blackbeard's head, making him howl in agony. Stop. Old man. I'm your son, you can't kill. Before he could finish, Whitebeard smashed the ground using Blackbeard's body, who tasted twice the pain. You're a monster. You're halfway dead already. Just shut up and die. Get him. As soon as he said that, Blackbeard's crew attacked Whitebeard, bombarding him with all kinds of weapons. Boss. Seeing this scene, Whitebeard's sons on the other side couldn't bear it and cried. Zihahaha. Get him. Turn him into Swiss cheese. Blackbeard was elated. Boom. Zihahaha. Destroy it. Turn it into rubble. Outside Impel Down on a warship, Teach laughed as he watched the colossal giant he recruited punch Impel Down, smashing a large part of it. You can only destroy the first floor, you know. Impel Down isn't just any building. It's designed to withstand earthquakes, floods, and various natural disasters, specifically to contain destructive power. Destroying it just by letting a giant hit it is a pipe dream. Shiryu looked at Teach and said indifferently. Hey, we've already done enough. Time to leave. Men, retreat. Say ha ha ha. As soon as he gave the order, Katarina Devon, Vasco Shot, and Avalo Pizarro boarded the warship. The giant San Juan wolf also shrank to his average size and clung to the ship, leaving behind a torrent of seawater flooding into Impel Down. Who said destroying Impel Down is the only way to deepen their losses? Zihahaha. Just flooding it with seawater is enough. Teach said without looking at Shiryu, focusing back on the manga scene where his counterpart just finished fighting Whitebeard. TSK. Did he really lose to a man with half a face and a body laden with injuries? Teach's brow twitched at seeing how his counterpart was severely beaten by Whitebeard before ordering his crew to attack him together. Well, it doesn't matter. Zihahaha. The important thing is that Whitebeard is going to die at the hands of Blackbeard's pirates. How wonderful. Seeing the tears of Whitebeard's crew, who were powerless to help their dying father, Teach and his newly assembled crew felt ecstatic. This scene was extremely gratifying for the newly formed Blackbeard pirates. How wonderful it would be if they could achieve such a feat now. Say ha ha ha. This manga is really refreshing and logical. Even Whitebeard can't stay alive against me. He completely forgot he saw his counterpart getting severely beaten to near death by Whitebeard just moments ago. As Teach and his crew continued reading the manga, their ship moved further and further away from the sinking Impel Down until it disappeared from sight. Back at Impel Down, Magellan was furious. What the hell? Where is this water coming from? Waterfalls of seawater were pouring from the floors above at an alarming rate. Oh no! Warden! This is bad. There's a seawater leak. Hannibal shouted in terror. After the shaking and collapsing parts of Impel Down ceased, he thought the natural disaster had stopped. But who would have expected a seawater leak? If it continued, Impel Down would be completely submerged within a few hours despite its complex levels. Go! Quickly! We need to get to the surface and stop the leak. Magellan shouted, closing the manga volume and putting it in his pocket, then began running towards the passage to the third floor, followed by Hannibal and the rest of the guards. The prisoners, seeing this, started causing chaos in their cells. Whole Cake Island. Seeing this scene, Lean Lean's expression darkened, as she hadn't expected to see Whitebeard in such a situation before. Even in the manga. I didn't expect that. At first, you were stabbed by one of your sons. You entered the battle with an internal injury, then your chest was burned by magma, and afterward, that magma dog shattered half your face. The white mustache you prided yourself on for years is now half a mustache. And now I see you dying at the hands of a bunch of lowlifes who think they're great pirates, when they're nothing but rotting rats. With each additional scene, Lean Lean's anger grew more and more. Seeing this usually invincible great man in such an unfair situation tasted bitter to Lin Lin. I told you, if you want a family, you need to have children. Adopting them is dangerous. You might adopt a cunning fox that kills you someday. I told you, and what I told you is coming true in the manga. I wonder what your reaction would be to this, Newgate. Even great pirates can fall. I have to become stronger to protect Mom. Seeing Whitebeard's nearing end, Katakuri, who was in the art store, felt a great sense of urgency to become stronger. Especially since the world with hunters, rather than just pirates and the Marines, was much more dangerous than the world in the manga. In the following scenes, Katakuri and the rest of Charlotte Lean Lean's children were stunned. You're gonna die? Roger! In his final moments, Whitebeard remembered his long-ago meeting with Roger. Yeah, I don't have long. Wanna know how to get to Laughtail, Whitebeard? The two were sitting under trees, drinking sake. Even if you told me, I wouldn't go. I'm not interested in that, replied Whitebeard. Roger's voice became clearer and clearer. You know what those government bastards have been calling me lately? Gold Roger. That's wrong. My name's Gold Roger. I run into guys with the D name now and then. I've got one in my crew, by the name of Teach. Just what does the D mean? Whitebeard wondered. Oh, you wanna know? Then I'll tell you. It's a story from long ago. Rain and Wind continued to baptize Batarilla Island at this moment. Back at the couple's house, Rouge hadn't fully recovered from the shock of Ace's end, which she couldn't swallow no matter how hard she tried. She was still looking at the page where Ace died with a smile, unable to move past the scene, her hand on her belly where the baby slept. At least this comforted her a little. But unlike her, Roger had already moved on and reached the current scene. After discovering his wife's pregnancy, he became more active than ever. Should I have had sake with Newgate? I'll keep that in mind. Roger felt sad, knowing this friend was dying. In his final moments, he's recalling memories with me. Didn't he have any woman he loved? Why is he remembering me? Oh man, this is gross. Wah-aha! Saying that, he tried to make Rouge laugh a little, but his attempt failed this time as well. Sigh, seeing no response from Rouge, Roger returned his focus to Whitebeard's memory scene. When Newgate began saying his final words, Roger smiled. Of course, it's not him. The man I'm waiting for is much kinder than this rude guy, wahaha. Newgate's final words were so powerful they ignited Roger's own spirit. Even Rouge, who was depressed by Ace's death in the manga, continued reading. The deep meaning and weight of Whitebeard's words were so great. That's how it seemed, and that's what every manga reader thought at the time. But it also meant it was the end for the great man Whitebeard. Chapter 754, One Piece is Real. Chapter's Events. It's not you. Ha! When Whitebeard opened his eyes from his memories, he said to Teach, "You're still alive." Teach was shocked to see him still standing tall. "The man Roger is waiting for is definitely not you, Teach," Whitebeard said calmly. "What?" exclaimed Teach. "There are those who inherited Roger's will. And one day, someone will appear who will inherit Ace's will. As long as that bloodline survives, their flames will never die," Whitebeard continued, this time louder, as if he wanted the whole world to hear. "That will has been passed down from long ago. Ha, and in the future, someday, a man will appear, bearing the weight of centuries of history on his shoulders, to challenge the world. Sengoku. Your world government is afraid of the coming war that will engulf the world." Hearing this, Sengoku's expression turned grim. "I wasn't interested, but when someone finds that treasure, the world will be shaken to its core. Somebody will find it, that day will certainly come. One Piece is real." These words were broadcasted and heard by hundreds of thousands of viewers. They also transitioned from the pages of the manga to the minds of every reader who read these lines worldwide. Because of their power, readers felt as if they heard them aloud, as if the great Whitebeard was standing before them, and despite his bloody injuries and tragic condition, his voice echoed strongly as if he wasn't dying at all. Among the readers who felt this, were the 5 elders and their lord. Marigoa, Pangaea Castle. The 5 elders looked at each other with shocked expressions. "What the hell? What is he saying?" Saint Warcury shouted angrily, his mustache trembling. "These words will have a significant impact in the manga world, no less than Roger's words during his execution. Their influence will extend to our world. How many readers do you think believe in the existence of One Piece now?" Saint Nashiro asked with a cold expression. "Although they haven't seen it." "Many, there are many who believe in the existence of One Piece, and the reason is the One Piece manga itself." Saint Saturn spoke slowly after reviewing the forum and seeing the buzz about One Piece and Whitebeard's final words. "Why didn't he just die and be done with it? Was it necessary to leave behind such a large amount of final words?" Saint Jupiter said with hatred. "Whitebeard's era in the manga is over. His words won't change anything in reality. That person he talks about hasn't appeared yet, and even when he does, he won't reach the level that allows him to bear centuries of history on his shoulders and unleash the Great War." Saint Mars spoke calmly. "Foo foo foo." A seductive laugh spread in the grand hall, making the 5 elders adjust their seating positions. Lord Emu seemed to be interested in Whitebeard's final words. This was the thought of the Gorosei. Magnificent, such great words. Such an end for a great character. He truly deserves the title of the world's strongest man, this Whitebeard. What a man! To know so many secrets and not care about them, and to focus only on family instead of seeking those secrets. Now I understand why you lived long enough to see the man who inherited Roger's will. Fufufu, sometimes, greatness may result from cowardice." Hearing the last line of her words, the 5 elders felt enlightened. That's right, it seems that Whitebeard's greatness came from his lack of courage to seek the truth. This too can be considered a special kind of greatness, so it's no wonder their lord described Edward Newgate as a great man. No doubt the lord is angry. This was the thought of the 5 elders after realizing the meaning behind Emu's words. One Piece is real? Ha! Of course it is. I'm sorry I drowned it by mistake. Her red eyes turned into a smiling crescent. At this moment she looked strangely gentle, but anyone who saw her now would feel intense fear instead. New World, Sphinx Island. I'm here now seeing the end you wrote for me and drinking the sweet wine your store sells. Man, you're unbelievable. Garararara. But, my son's tears over my death are something sad. It seemed the wine had taken effect at this moment. After laughing for a moment, Whitebeard couldn't hold back his tears anymore. This time he was extremely sad. He wasn't the only one crying, all his sons were too. Rob watched this in silence. I've always wanted just a family, treasures? I enjoyed them at some point in my life. Getting a new son meant more to me than getting all the treasures in the world. Family bonds are priceless. Saying that, Whitebeard focused again on his last moments in the manga. He couldn't prevent a smile from forming on his face nonetheless. This exact scene was enough to convey everything he wanted to or still wants to say to his sons but never knew how to express. Forgive me, my sons. I left behind this huge fool. Everything I have I got from you. Marco and the others were crying bitterly at this moment. How can a pirate not be interested in treasures? What exactly do you want? The memory from that time when he was a young pirate appeared in his final moments. Hey, Newgate. His young voice was clearer than ever in his mind. There's something I've wanted ever since I was a kid. Oh. Tell us what it is. Newgate's crewmates were surprised and really wanted to know what this strange man wanted. He was very strong but didn't like treasures. What did he want then? This piqued their curiosity greatly. Newgate, who didn't have a mustache yet, smiled as he looked at the blue sea, putting his hand on his cheek, then answered quietly. A family. What? That's ridiculous. Jaya ha ha ha. He didn't care about the pirates' mockery on the ship, because he wasn't answering them, but himself. You have my thanks, farewell my sons. The last thing on his mind was to thank his sons for giving him that warm family. Ah. He died standing there. This was Teach's reaction to Whitebeard's death, standing without falling or staggering. Boss. And his son's reaction was tears and wailing. Whitebeard has died. Even after he died, with his face half gone, his body would not yield. Cutting his enemies down, he was the very image of a monster. In this battle, he suffered 267 sword wounds, as well as 152 bullet wounds and 46 cannon wounds. But on his proud back. And indeed, in his life as a pirate, he did not suffer a single coward's injury. Whitebeard died standing, without suffering any injuries on his back. The man who belonged to my hometown Sphinx, and who gave everything to this poor place without asking for anything in return, died thanking his sons for giving him a family, the only thing he considered everything. What a great man! I'm crying. Blackbeard the coward, when will he die? I want to see him dead now. He took care of him and raised him all those years, and this is his reward. Such great evil. This betrayal is unforgivable. The readers on Sphinx Island were extremely emotional at this moment. The scene of Whitebeard's death was filled with genuine emotions. After Ace's death, Whitebeard's death came quickly but was expected. He endured all those bullets, swords, and cannons. Or rather, they didn't affect him at all compared to the betrayal of his son whom he thought was such. Rob looked at Whitebeard, who still had his blonde hair and bulging muscles. He was more alive than ever. Man, killing the old version of you was extremely difficult. How terrifying would it be to hunt an enemy now? I mean, it would be much harder for some people to sleep in the coming days. Rob said, smiling. Death is not the end. Whitebeard's will shall live on, burning in those suns. Whitebeard said while wiping the tears of his wife, Stussy, who was crying bitterly because of her intense emotions towards the scene. Urura Island. Can the last moment be so great? He died, but he seems very alive to me, Warororo. Kaido laughed as he sipped his drink. So that's how the summit war ended, huh? It was really an incredibly strong summit. I didn't expect it to be this amazing. Captain Kaido. It's not over yet, the Marines will surely wipe out the remnants of Whitebeard's pirates. King said. Who cares? If even Whitebeard died, then everyone else should follow him to death. He shouldn't be left alone. Chapter 755, I'll give you the ultimate show. At O'Hara's art store. One Piece is real. It's so damn real. Or this manga wouldn't be named after that. Foo foo foo. In O'Hara Island, the general mood was very similar to that on Sphinx Island, Batarilla, and everywhere else in the world. At this moment, Doflamingo was the one speaking. Even though he didn't show it, Whitebeard's death scene had affected him greatly, even more so than Ace's death. What does Blackbeard intend to do? Suddenly, the scene in the next chapter caught his attention. Why are they covering Whitebeard's dead body with that black cloth? Rosinante, his eyes still wet with tears over Ace's death, was also extremely curious. Strange. This is really strange, but I feel that what he's going to do will be shocking, even for us. At this moment, Isho, who had been silent for a while, spoke. I bet you're right, the title of this chapter is An Unthinkable Incident after all, Mihawk added. Let's see what he's about to do. Shiria's comment about them potentially splitting up if this thing he wants to do fails indicates the importance of this step for the Blackbeard pirates. I hope it fails. Enel hoped from the bottom of his heart due to his intense hatred for Marshal D. Teach, aka Blackbeard. Not far away, Professor Clover's group was reading this chapter with complex feelings. Whitebeard has completely lost. He lost the Summit War, he lost Ace, and who knows how many other sons he lost in this chaotic battlefield. Sigh, how sad. After saying that, Professor Clover sighed deeply. This was expected. I don't know why, but you all greatly underestimate the power of the Marines. I was part of the world government system, and I know them well. I even contributed to strengthening the Marines. They haven't even shown everything they have in this war, as Sengoku was very reserved. Vegapunk spoke calmly, pausing for a moment before continuing. My counterpart in the manga is still part of the world government, so you should understand how much of a difference this makes. Most of them agreed with Vegapunk on this point. But Brook was most worried about Luffy, whose fate was still unknown, as Jinbei was still running while carrying him. Oh no! Akainu is still hell-bent on killing Luffy. This is not good. Brook was anxious. Don't worry. In times of crisis, hope can emerge in ways no one can foresee. Saul said with a smile, confident that Luffy, the story's protagonist, would not face any major problems after what had already happened. After all, the shock of losing his brother in such a manner is enough. Ace died in his arms. That's already extremely difficult. Homing added sorrowfully. The question that puzzles me now is why these ordinary people are celebrating the Marines' victory? Isn't it obvious? The death of a great pirate is always a source of great joy. Clover explained. Chapter's events. The news spread around the world in an instant. Roger's son, Ace, a member of the Whitebeard pirates, was not saved, and the captain, Whitebeard, died. As soon as this news spread, many ordinary people around the world began celebrating joyfully. The historic incident would be passed on for generations. But those witnessing it could only watch in silence. So you're gone, Whitebeard. Rayleigh drank sake and mourned Whitebeard's death, his tears of sorrow visible beneath his glasses. The narrator continued. He was a man who sailed the seas with the Pirate King. Age 72 years at the time of his death. The captain of the Whitebeard pirates, the great pirate Edward Newgate, aka Whitebeard. In the Bay of Marineford, the Whitebeard pirates and the combined forces of Marine HQ and the Shichibukai fought a great battle, and there he lost his life. Don't just stand there. Get on the ship. Did you forget the captain's last order? Jinbei. Get Ace's brother. Right. Marco quickly gave instructions. But he and the rest of the crew were distracted by the strange movements of the Blackbeard pirates. Ha! Ha! He. Now, let's get started. Whitebeard's body was covered with a black cloth, and Teach entered as well after saying that. They're still planning something. One of the vice admirals said worriedly. That bastard Teach. He's doing something to our dead boss. The Whitebeard pirates were filled with intense indignation. Zay ha ha ha. Now I'll give you the ultimate show. Saying that, Teach closed the cloth completely. No one knew what he would do or how he would do it. Rayleigh's reflection, as he wept over Whitebeard's death, was mirrored in the eyes of his younger self. Here, in an art store in Batarilla, Roger's pirates were gathered. I can't believe it. Your counterpart didn't do anything to save Ace. What do you think? Gabon looked at Rayleigh and said this, as all of Roger's pirates, who felt something was wrong, also looked at him. If it were them, they wouldn't have let their captain's son die no matter what. I don't know what my counterpart is thinking. He's the only one who can answer you and me because I really don't know why he chose to just watch. Rayleigh said, feeling dejected. Shaki observed this in silence for a moment before deciding to speak. I have a reasonable explanation. She said. Darling? Rayleigh was surprised. It's all right. She reassured him before starting to talk. Shanks and the others looked at her, ready to hear her explanation. Old Rayleigh wanted to join the Summit War, and those tears look like tears of frustration to me. But he didn't have enough time to do so. From the moment Ace's true identity was revealed and his death announced, not much time had passed, certainly not enough for him to get from Sabaody Archipelago to Marineford Bay. Even if he was an excellent swimmer, he couldn't have made it. So, you mean he might not have known Ace's true identity? Then why did he ignore Ace's death entirely and only talk about Whitebeard? Are you unhappy with me or my counterpart? Rayleigh looked at Gabon calmly. Ah. Damn, I just didn't like this ending. It could have been better with some intervention from you. Akainu wouldn't have been able to kill Ace if you had been there. I am also frustrated with this ending, not just you. I don't know why my counterpart only watched, but I know he was powerless in this. If my counterpart had intervened, the world government would have sent someone strong to confront him. Things aren't as simple as you think. Fine, and where was Shank's counterpart in all this? Why hasn't he arrived yet? At least I want to see a proper burial for these two great characters. What does that son of a bitch plan to do? Before Gabon could finish his words, he saw Blackbeard alone with Whitebeard's dead body. A scary feeling overwhelmed them when they saw that. This doesn't bode well. Chapter 756, Ace is gone, but you must live. Chapter's events. What is that black cloth? Blackbeard and Whitebeard are inside. Everyone who saw this scene was surprised, none of them had any idea what he intended to do inside. What are they planning? Behind the curtain, Blackbeard's pirates stood guard, making it clear that their main purpose for coming here was for this reason. Ho ho ho. Now. Nobody can enter for the time being. Lafitte laughed and said. I'm looking forward to this. Katarina Devon, the female pirate among Teach's crew, was excited about it too. If it fails, are we splitting up? At this moment, Shiryu wasn't asking anyone but himself due to the importance of the matter. In the calm belt, aboard a warship, Teach was reading the manga, laughing louder each time. Zihahaha. Has that moment finally come? I've always imagined it in my wildest dreams, thinking the fantasy was beautiful. But I didn't think it would be this amazing in reality. Zihahaha. The great Whitebeard's body at my counterpart's hand. I'll give you the ultimate show. Teach took his counterpart's words and said them with excitement. His hatred for Whitebeard and his crew in this reality was far greater than in the manga, as the One Piece manga had revealed his intentions prematurely, causing Whitebeard to beat him severely, even imprisoning and torturing him cruelly while feeding him useless Zeon. He was now the Donkey Man. Well, at least part of him was. Every time he remembered that part of him would feel an unimaginable rage. The scene of Whitebeard's death and the disgrace of the Whitebeard pirates in the manga was incredibly satisfying for Marshall D. Teach. Well, it seems my secret is about to be revealed. Now he realized that his greatest secret would be seen by the whole world. And the reason? The One Piece manga, once again. In another corner of the world, in Maragoa, the Gorosei were gathered, discussing the latest developments in the manga. This Blackbeard. He's a dangerous element. If his counterpart in reality is anything like this, we must be cautious. Maybe we acted rashly when we assigned him to Impel Down? Saint Mars spoke with a grave tone. Yes, but the revelation of his secret. This could be our advantage. Knowledge is power, after all. Saint Jupiter nodded, then added. Anyway, he is already one of our employees, we will use his secrets to our advantage. We need to monitor him closely. The world is changing, and we need to be prepared for anything. The eldest Gorosei, Saint Ethan Baron, concluded. But at that moment, the Den Den Mushi in front of them began to ring, Pura Pura Peru *. This call from Impel Down, right? Back in Ohara, Doflamingo was still fixated on the manga, a sinister smile playing on his lips. So, Teach. What's your ultimate show? I really want to see it. It's interesting how events have turned in this direction. Additionally, it's fascinating to see Sengoku and his group just watching without taking action to stop Teach from achieving his goal. That's true, I find it strange as well. What are they doing? Why are they just watching? Have they been possessed by the spirit of the clown Buggy? Are you mocking Buggy? Look, it seems like he's crying bitterly. He must be deeply affected by Ace's death and his inability to do anything to save him. After all, Ace was the son of his former captain, wasn't he? The readers in Ohara have already moved past their grief and depression over Ace's death and have refocused on the rest of the events because the volume isn't over yet, after all. Captain Buggy. Where are you? We're getting out of here, you idiots. We can't take Whitebird's head anymore. Buggy was using his ability to fly away from the battlefield while the prisoners he brought along chased after him in haste. I couldn't do it. I was so scared, I couldn't even get close. No one knows his true thoughts. If you think I'm pathetic, go right ahead. We'll part here, bastards. No one knows why he was really crying either. I was so scared. Whitebeard is scary. The summit is scary. Captain Buggy is crying. You know what they say. Yesterday's enemy is today's friend. Whitebeard was truly his great rival. He showed Whitebeard a man's mercy. Even though he could have taken Whitebeard's head. And then he left without making any excuses. Wait. Take us too. Captain Buggy. The prisoners, who were imagining and connecting events in their heads, ran after Buggy as they chose to follow him. Ha! Luffy! Hang in there. You have to live. Ha! At that moment, Jinbei was still running, carrying Luffy, trying to get him away from there. Ace is gone, but you must live. Day after day. You have to. Hang in there, and survive. Jinbei. If I die like this, could you look after my little brother for me? These were the words Ace said to him back then in the prison. I'm sorry, Ace. You shouldn't think too highly of me. I'm not that good of a person. And even if it's your brother, he lives in the pirate world. I only lend my hand in protection to men that I respect. And this was Jinbei's response at the time. And now he is doing everything he can to save him and get him out of danger. It's as if Ace, the loving older brother, anticipated such a situation where his little brother would need protection. Your counterpart, Jinbei, was the perfect candidate for this role. On Fishman Island, precisely inside the art store in Mermaid Cove, Jinbei, Tiger, and some acquaintances were sitting at the same table. The events in the manga converged gradually to this scene where Jinbei was running, carrying Luffy, trying to urge him to keep living. Hearing this, young Jinbei wiped his tears and nodded appreciatively to Tiger's words. That's right, my counterpart is doing exactly what he told Ace. Clearly, he respects Luffy a lot. Otherwise, he wouldn't lend him a helping hand. And who deserves respect more than Straw Hat Luffy? Ace must have laughed when he heard my counterpart's answer. His thought must have been, if my brother doesn't deserve your respect and admiration, then no one in this world does. Both Tiger and Jimbei looked around them, not surprised by the sad expressions of the fishmen and mermaids. After all, the tragic end of the Whitebeard pirates touched all their hearts. Sigh, I hope my counterpart can get Luffy out of this alive. Damn! Why does that bastard Akainu insist on trying to kill Luffy? Why do you think your counterpart is crying for? In Batarilla, Shanks looked at Buggy and asked. I don't know. Buggy looked away and answered without looking at Shanks. He said it himself, didn't he? He said he couldn't do it. He was so scared, he couldn't even get close, didn't he? I think he means he didn't have the strength to get close to the execution platform and save Ace. Hearing this, the rest of Roger's pirates looked at Shanks and Buggy. The scene of Buggy crying in the manga was quite interesting. No one believed he was crying like that because he couldn't take Whitebeard's head. That didn't make sense at all. So Shanks' explanation seemed somewhat acceptable. Chapter 757, Two Powers in One Body. Chapter's Events. I already said I wouldn't let him escape. Won't you idiots just give up already? Admiral Akainu appeared in front of Jimbei, blood dripping from his wounds. It was clear that the injuries he sustained from Whitebeard's previous rampage were significant. Akainu! You weren't down! Fasa shouted in shock at this outcome. He melted through the ground and came around us. Give me Dragon's son! Jimbei! Intense magma emanated from Akainu's body, making him look like a volcano on the verge of eruption. I can't do that. I've decided. I'll protect this man, even if it costs me my life. Jimbei truly seemed determined to carry out his words. Well then. I won't ask again. Akainu tightened his magma fist, ready to attack. Protect Ace's brother. Ace's family is our family too. The Whitebeard pirates, who had been retreating earlier, returned to confront Akainu and protect Luffy. Move it, Jimbei. You won't take the Straw Hat boy. At that moment, Ivankov arrived and signaled Jimbei to step aside, then locked eyes with Akainu. Hell wink. A devastating explosion occurred as a result of Ivankov's attack. Does he want to kill my son that badly? In the Sorbet Kingdom, Dragon had a hateful expression on his face. The more he read from this arc, the deeper his hatred grew towards the arrogant Sakazuki. After all, what Sakazuki did in this arc was way over the line. He killed Ace. He severely injured Whitebeard and relentlessly chased after Luffy, trying to kill him as well. Where was my old counterpart in all this? Garp gritted his teeth in anger too. Akainu had a clear intent to kill. He wouldn't hesitate to do the same to Luffy as he did to Ace. He doesn't even call him by his title, he just calls him Dragon's son. It means he wants revenge on you. Garp looked at Dragon, saying this. That's obvious. Dragon nodded. Well, it seems Jimbei and the rest of the Whitebeard pirates won't let him do as he pleases, especially Jimbei. That man has a strong heroic spirit, added Dragon. Oh. Ivankov finally appeared. For a moment I thought he ran away. Crocodile scoffed. Do you think my counterpart would run away without ensuring Luffy's safety? That's impossible. Ivankov smiled without getting angry. Look at the strength of my Hellwink. Even Akainu has to avoid a direct hit or he'd be done for. It's impossible for my counterpart to let Luffy fall into the hands of that scoundrel Akainu. Well, it seems the unexpected incident was caused by Teach Dash. In the next manga scene, Dragon's eyes widened, and he was speechless. The same reaction happened to Garp and the others. Impossible, what is happening? Kuma was astonished by the next scene's events. How can this be possible? Garp had the same reaction as the characters in the manga at this moment. Absolute disbelief. Sphinx Island. Back at this location, Whitebeard had been deep in thought since he saw the outcome for his counterpart in the manga. It seems the scum Blackbeard has come out. His eyes widened when they fell on a particular scene, and the words got stuck in his throat. Ha! What is happening? Marco had the same reaction. This is impossible. Fasa stepped back in shock. The power of my father, how? Vista was also extremely shocked. What the cough? Vista almost choked on the sake he was drinking when he saw what Teach did in the manga. Similar scenes occurred with the rest of Whitebeard's sons and his subordinate crews, significantly affecting even ordinary readers on Sphinx Island. While Rob remained extremely calm because he had anticipated such a scene happening around him, and knew it was happening all over the world now. After all, it was something that defied common sense, something that contradicted the absolute law of the world, a unique event. The only person confirmed to not follow common sense was Rob himself, but now the manga showed there was another person who could be like Rob. Whitebeard's gaze fell on Rob and he asked, how did he do this? How did he take my power? How can he unleash 2 devil fruit powers without his body exploding? Didn't he live with you on the ship long enough for you to notice his abnormality? Rob asked. Well, it's clear he has something special in his body, but he didn't live with me long enough to notice that. He was good at hiding his true nature, Whitebeard replied. Then his focus returned to the strange chapter's events. Blackbeard's come out. What did he do? Whitebeard looks the same. And Blackbeard doesn't look any different. Marines. Let me show you my powers. Now that it's clear we'll be enemies again. Ha ha ha. Saying that, Teach laughed before shouting, black hole. He submerged the marine soldiers with his dark powers. What? This is the power of my yummy fruit, he exclaimed. Wah! All the marine soldiers lost their balance in the dark swamp and started sinking slowly. This was the power they knew well. But it seemed Blackbeard wasn't done showing off yet. And this. In Whitebeard's style, a white vortex appeared on his left hand, which he was forming into a fist. That stance. Marco felt scared just thinking about what would happen next. The moment Teach struck the air beside him, it cracked like a broken mirror, causing a massive earthquake that extended to the remains of Marineford and turned it into ruins. Wah! The screams of the miserable marine soldiers rose again. This is the power of my Gura fruit. Ha ha ha. Blackbeard said, laughing maniacally. At that moment, the world was silent. All manga readers were so shocked that they remained silent for a few minutes. When the silence broke, readers began to wonder how Blackbeard performed such a feat, something they had always thought was impossible. Only one person, Rob, had been able to use more than 1 devil fruit power. But now, the One Piece manga revealed there was another person capable of this, and that person was already present in the current timeline. On a small, isolated island in the middle of the Calm Belt, the warship that Teach and his crew had previously taken from Impel Down stopped. Ha ha ha. It actually happened just as I had always imagined. My dream became reality in the manga. I wouldn't regret it even if I died now. Ha ha ha. Captain, how did you do this? I mean, how did your counterpart do such a miraculous thing? Stealing the devil fruit power from Whitebeard's dead body without the fruit needing to regenerate in another random fruit. And more importantly, your counterpart already has the power of the darkness fruit. He can't eat another devil fruit. This is unbelievable, a miracle. Avalo Pizarro, Katarina Devon, Shiryu, Vasco Shot, and San Juan Wolf were all stunned by this scene in the manga. Can you really do this? The manga wasn't lying, right? Shiryu asked incredulously. Say ha ha ha. That's the strange thing about this manga. That's the surreal and unbelievable thing about One Piece manga. That's what made me question the reality of this world. Again and again. Ha ha ha. This manga doesn't lie. Everything it says is true. Hearing Teach's confirmation, his followers' eyes widened in shock more and more. Chapter 758, Blackbeard's ambition to sink Marineford. Marineford. Is this even possible? Sengoku was in utter shock at this moment. All his expectations of what Blackbeard aimed to achieve had failed. He never imagined such a scene where Blackbeard would acquire the earthquake ability and become a dual devil fruit user. The dark fruit, with its power to nullify devil fruit abilities, is indeed terrifying. What if he added the ability to destroy everything? If he has strong haki, he would be truly invincible. Zephyr was in awe. At this rate, Marineford Island will be destroyed by him. Tsuru was more concerned about the safety of Marineford Island. How frightening. This man is extremely cunning. The world government must regret giving him Impel Down. Borsellino glanced at Impel Down, which was in poor condition, but the water leakage had already been stopped by Magellan and his team. He picked up his Den Mushi and made a call to the headquarters. Teach escaped and took with him the same prisoners his counterpart in the manga freed. Prisoners I never expected to be here, said Borsellino. How is Impel Down? Sengoku asked, looking at the Den Mushi. Magellan did a good job, but his poison can't stop the water leakage forever. A large part of the building above sea level is destroyed. You need to think of a solution, Sengoku-san. Kuzan is already on his way to you. He will freeze the surrounding waters to stop the leakage. Inform Magellan about this. Understood. In the dark hall of Pangaea Castle, the five elders looked at each other in silence. Before they could see what Blackbeard was capable of in the manga, Sengoku had reported on Teach's escape from Impel Down after freeing some prisoners and destroying a large part of the surface level of Impel Down. This made them angry, but what made them angrier was he can use 2 devil fruit abilities in one body. He might be able to use more than that. The manga hasn't explained how his power works yet. What could be his secret? He anticipated this, that's why he escaped, right? Can he keep running for the rest of his life? We must find him before the hunters do. His secret, we must obtain it. On her empty throne, Imu continued to listen to the interesting discussion between her subordinates with a curious expression. Reaching this point, she pointed to Blackbeard in the manga and said, "This man will become a great threat in the future, he must be eliminated now." Upon hearing this, the 5 elders nodded faithfully, "At your command, my lord." They fully understood that this was an order from Imu-sama. They had to execute it without errors. To execute it, one of them had to descend to the world below, and this time seriously, no room for play. Chapter's events. Say ha ha ha. The power. It's flowing from within my body. What amazing power. As Blackbeard said this, he was in pure ecstasy, truly feeling invincible. I feel like I can do whatever I want to this world. Feeling that he could do whatever he wished, including let's start by sinking Marineford into the sea. What? Hearing this shocked the Marines, and Sengoku transformed into a terrifying golden Buddha. Without any warning, a dreadful shockwave fell upon Teach and his crew, who felt their internal organs being crushed by this power. Guwa! Kuu! The shockwave! A fortress can be rebuilt. After crushing their pride, Sengoku began to speak loudly. But the island of Marineford stands at the center of the world. For the good people of the world who fear you villains, there is a deeper meaning to our presence here. Our justice will never be destroyed. Don't speak so lightly of sinking this place, you pup. Hearing this, Blackbeard laughed, zihahaha. Well then. Try to protect it. He seemed determined to sink this place. You want to sink Marineford Island into the sea in my presence? Dream on. Even if you have 3 devil fruit abilities, you can't do that. Even Rob, who has who knows how many devil fruit abilities, doesn't have such arrogance. Sengoku felt extreme indignation and hatred towards Blackbeard, even regretting causing Whitebird's death. I'm sure if your counterpart knew this would happen, he wouldn't have allowed the old Whitebeard to die in the end. Tsuru said with a sigh. There's no if in this world, Tsuru. It's already over, this scenario is what was meant to happen. It seems the new generation will be promising. Unfortunately, we have to admit that our tricks in the manga are over, and a new generation of troublemakers who surpass us in capabilities has begun. Blackbeard will be a severe opponent for Straw Hat. At this moment, Sakazuki's cold gaze was on Blackbeard's arrogant form in the manga, filled with intense hatred. Damn it! What are you doing? Just leave Straw Hat alone, he's finished for now and poses no significant threat. Go burn Blackbeard's arrogance. Sakazuki was extremely angry after seeing what Teach did and what his counterpart, Akainu, was doing. Instead of returning to fight the Blackbeard pirates, who were the most dangerous, he was still chasing an 18-year-old boy who had already fainted. This deserved ridicule. Zephyr, Saru, Sengoku, and the other vice-admirals looked at this and sighed strangely. It seems Sakazuki's logic is starting to adjust towards something good. These were everyone's thoughts about it. Far away in the New World, in the central prison of Hunter's Island. Your era has ended, Whitebeard, just as mine has. I wonder what your reaction would be to what happened. Jihahaha. Dying standing without your back being harmed. Do you feel proud of that? Ha! But the boy you raised killed you in cold blood and stole your power from your dead body. No one knows how he did it, but everyone bets he contaminated your body with that dark ability. Jihahaha. I bet you'd like to crush him to dust right now, wouldn't you, old friend? I know you're angry, very angry. The Golden Lion was thoroughly enjoying the Summit War. It was truly a Summit War. Chapter 759, The MVP of the War, Crocodile. Chapter's Events. If we reach the sea, I'll have the advantage. We can escape. Jimbei continued running while carrying the unconscious Luffy. As he leaped from the bay towards the sea, he was met with a shocking sight. Damn! The ice! The sea below was frozen, and the one responsible for this, Akiji, apologized, saying, "Sorry, Jimbei." You wa! Jaya! At that moment, Jimbei heard the cries of the pirates behind him. He's here! Jimbei turned in midair and used Fishman Karate to defend against Akainu's attack, but he wasn't stable enough. Damn! This resulted in a serious injury to Jimbei, who was pierced like Ace but less severely. Luffy's stomach suffered a severe burn because of it. Jimbei! Aha! Jimbei screamed in pain. He pierced Jimbei and hit Ace's brother. Is he still alive? The Whitebeard pirates were horrified at the sight. You're still resisting, Jimbei. Akainu walked leisurely towards Jimbei. Luffy, ha. I'm sorry. You've taken unnecessary wounds. Jimbei regretted allowing this to happen. Are you really in a position to be worrying about others right now? You were on the way, so I missed it. If I had pierced his heart, it would have been painless. Right, Jimbei? With one hand in his pocket and the other filled with hot magma, Akainu prepared to deliver a fatal attack once more. Why do you still protect him with his chest gouged out like that? He'll die soon anyway. Before Akainu could finish speaking, his body was sliced by a torrent of sharp sand. NNN. Crocodile. Crocodile appeared near them at that moment. Seeing Jimbei carrying the injured Luffy, he decided to take them both away. Sables. As soon as he said this, a sandstorm engulfed both Luffy and Jimbei. Someone grab them and take them to a ship, he exclaimed. Crocodile. Jimbei looked grateful. If you want to protect someone, do it right. Don't let them have their way anymore. He's right, if you want to protect someone, do it properly. But it's okay, your counterpart has already done everything he could. Jimbei looked with admiration at the heroic appearance of Crocodile at that moment, rescuing both Luffy and himself from Akainu's clutches. This is amazing. I didn't expect this man to play such an outstanding role in this arc. He has really done a lot. Fisher Tiger smiled, praising Crocodile's decisive character in this arc. It's surprising how this man continues to impress us every time new. Even Hachan had become a fan. Anyway, it seems Akainu has caused significant harm to Luffy this time. He appears to need urgent medical attention. Otherwise, what Akainu said might happen. Jimbei was worried about Luffy's condition, which did not look promising. No need to worry, this is the protagonist. No matter what happens, he will come out fine. Ace's death was already unfair, the heavens won't be crueler than that from now on. Fisher Tiger said with calm assurance. He was certain that even in the most difficult circumstances, hope would surely appear if it involved Luffy. Not far from Tiger and Jinbei's group, Frankie had been crying bitterly since Ace's death. Why? Why? Just why did this scene have to happen? Why? It's unfair. Unfair. Ace. Luffy, they don't deserve this, Frankie's tears flowed almost continuously as he was still stuck in the scene of Ace's death. Seeing this, Tom sighed with regret. This was meant to happen, boy. Ace is already dead, and what happened can't be changed no matter how undesirable, but Luffy, your future captain, is still alive, and he bears his late brother's will within him. Look at all of them, Jinbei, Marco, Vista, Jozu, and Ivankov, and all the Whitebeard pirates, even former enemies like Crocodile, they're all doing their best to save Luffy and get him out of this war. This is a losing war, a heavy blow to Luffy, but it will be a strong metal to refine the future Pirate King, for the true king's journeys are not free of falls. If he can overcome this disaster, he will come back much stronger than before. Akainu knows this, which is why he wants to kill him and end him here, not allowing him to progress any further. It's his warrior's instinct. Hearing all this from his teacher, Iceberg nodded with a smile, and Frankie stopped crying. Not far from them, Kokoro was happy to see this. In the Sorbet Kingdom, inside the art store, everyone was praising Crocodile and cursing Akainu. Seeing how Crocodile used his sand to cut through Akainu's magma body at the moment everyone thought he was going to finish off Jinbei and Luffy was a stunning sight. Everyone cheered happily at seeing that, including Crocodile himself, who was very pleased with this. Take that, you arrogant dog. Humph. How's that? My sand can also become hotter than magma if I heat it. Seeing this childish and enthusiastic reaction from Crocodile, Garp couldn't help but laugh, and even Ivankov and the rest laughed. Boa ha ha. Good boy. Good hit. Interfering in an admiral's affairs, disrupting his goals, hitting him, and getting out alive, that would be an unparalleled achievement if it happened. After everything your counterpart has done here, I bet everyone forgot what he did in Alabasta. Garp laughed, having already moved past the tragedy of Ace's death. Good. Your counterpart has performed very well in this war. Dragon was also praised. Amazing. But I feel there is a purpose behind everything your counterpart has done so far. I really want to know the secret my counterpart knows about you. Crocodile was happy until Ivankov opened his mouth and soured his mood. At that moment, he wished he could slice Ivankov instead of Akainu. Sphinx Island. My death means a humiliating loss for my sons. I really feel sorry after seeing what happened after my counterpart's death. This manga will help me a lot. It has already taught me not to continue taking sons who might be like Teach or worse. Death at the hands of a son you once acknowledged is not a good end, no matter how glorious the way of dying. There is no glory in a treacherous death. But Newgate, don't you prefer dying in battle rather than dying in bed amidst the tears of sons and daughters? Rob asked quietly. That was my thought before I saw my disgraceful end in this manga. Now I see that dying in a warm bed surrounded by sons after a respectable meal and great drink is the most wonderful decision. Ha ha ha. Hearing that, Rob couldn't hold back his laughter. Who would have thought that the volume of the Summit War would be a major reason for changing the great Edward Newgate's perspective on life and death? Well, this Crocodile isn't bad. Seeing what Crocodile did at that moment, Whitebeard praised with admiration. Chapter 760, The Doctor Has Arrived. Ohara. TSK. Why does it have to be him and not me? Daffy was upset that Crocodile had taken the spotlight in this war, not his counterpart. But your counterpart is a Shichibukai on the side of the Marines. He can't turn against them to save Luffy, especially since there's no connection between you and Luffy yet, right? Confusion was clear on Rosinante's face. Can't you see your elder brother is just feeling jealous? Fufu Enel laughed, mocking Daffy. Oh, is that so? I also feel jealous of Buggy. He's literally so lucky. Rosinante's eyes sparkled as he witnessed another instance of Buggy's endless luck, accidentally rescuing both Jimbei and Luffy, making everyone believe he intended to save them from the start. This scene left everyone, including Mihawk and Isho, shaking their heads, speechless. Strange. How everything seems to align to get Straw Hat out of this war. You feel that too, right, Hawk-chan? Isho smiled, hearing Mihawk's murmured observation. Mihawk looked calmly at Isho and nodded, yes, it's quite obvious, as if the world is doing everything it can to save him, in a seamless way that leaves no doubt. Isn't that what it means to be the protagonist? Isho wondered. I'm looking forward to the future. The future of this boy, will he lose his essence because of what happened, his loss in this war, the loss of his brother could truly change him. If he loses his essence, will the world abandon him? Will Luffy remain as we know him when he wakes up? You mean will he lose his cheerful spirit and become more sharp? Brook asked, hearing Mihawk's words. Mihawk nodded. That's impossible. Well, what happened today might change a person's character, but not Luffy. Brook vehemently rejected this idea. He was confident that Luffy would not change at all. Maybe he would suffer and be in pain, living in darkness for a while, but eventually, remembering his brother's last words, he would rise again. But that doesn't mean he doesn't need help. After all, this will be the hardest period of his life. Don't forget he still has his friends, me, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Chopper, Usopp, Frankie. He lost Ace, but he still has another family that loves him deeply. Brook smiled after mentioning that. There's no doubt that a member of his crew is the best at understanding the situation. Isho and the others smiled at Brook's words. Chapter's events. Dawa. Something came flying. While slowly hovering at a certain height using his ability, Buggy was surprised when a huge thing collided with him. Eh? They stopped in the sky. Eh? Captain Buggy. He saved Straw Hat and Jimbei. Seeing this, the prisoners and pirates below shouted in shock. Ah! Meanwhile, Buggy was oblivious to what was happening. He pretended like he was running, but he was really saving his comrades from the prison break, Straw Hat. He's so noble. He's so noble. He's shining. The prisoners cried, moved by their mistaken belief. You-woo. Jimbei and Straw Hat. How the hell did you end up covered in blood and flying through the air? Buggy was shocked to see the miserable state of both Jimbei and Luffy, but before he could get any answers, a massive magma fist appeared from below. Gaia! Magma! His face went pale and he flew away quickly. Thanks, Red Nose, for saving us, but Luffy is badly hurt, he needs to be treated soon. Ha! Jimbei was in pain but more worried about Luffy. I have no idea. Shut up. I'm the one who wants to be saved, idiot. Where am I supposed to find someone to treat him here? And who are you calling Red Nose? Batarilla. Most eyes turned toward Buggy at that moment. This guy was either incredibly lucky or incredibly stupid. Maybe both, that's what most were thinking, especially the members of his crew from Roger's Pirates. I want to laugh. But I really don't have the energy for it. Shanks sighed sadly, the scene of Ace and Whitebird's death still fresh in his mind. He had hoped his counterpart would arrive in time to save them, but that didn't happen. Even Buggy had played a vital role in the events, and he, who was supposed to be the best, hadn't arrived yet. He truly felt jealous of Buggy at that moment. Is he really pretending? Gaban wondered. He had a strange feeling that Buggy was only pretending to be stupid and actually wanted to save Luffy and Jimbei. Maybe I'm overthinking it. That's what he concluded when he saw Buggy's goofy face. None of you have the right to mock Buggy anymore. Rayleigh said calmly at that moment. He seemed to have moved past Ace's death. Buggy is the only one of Roger's pirates who participated in the Summit War. None of you were there even if it was just to witness Ace's death. In the couple's house. The scene of Whitebird's pirates standing face to block Akainu and stop him from pursuing Luffy was reflected in Roger's eyes. Roger was lost in his thoughts at that moment. Like any ordinary manga reader, he read the events as if they were unrelated to him. From time to time, he stroked his mustache and placed his hand on his chin in deep thought. Newgate truly has strong sons, impressive. Looks like everyone's here. Are you all going to give your lives for that straw-hat brat? Seeing these defenders, Akainu mocked. All of us have seen his limitless will and strength, said Vista. The man who protected Ace. The one the boss recognized. It's our duty to send him into the new age. Fasa added without fear. You are all utter fools. Whitebeard pirates. Akainu sneered. Marco did not stay silent. Akainu. You want to kill him because you see him as a potential threat. But that's the same reason why we'll protect him. Hey, Jimbei, are you awake? Where should I take you? Buggy was confused about where he should take them. It looks like words are useless now. Do as you please. Thus began a fierce battle between the Whitebeard pirates and Crocodile against Admiral Akainu. It seems this war didn't end with Ace's execution and Whitebeard's death. Well, how could it end with the emergence of a more dangerous threat and a strange anomaly like Blackbeard, and as long as Luffy is alive, it doesn't seem Akainu will stop. Hearing this, Rouge took a deep breath and said, unless a powerful third party intervenes, this war won't reach its end. I see a lot of lives dying in the background. It's not just my son who died in this war, there are other sons too. Just because they're not important in the story doesn't mean they're not alive too. Rouge was referring to the Marines who died in the war, whether at the hands of Whitebeard's pirates or Blackbeard's pirates. They were the cannon fodder whose deaths no one cared about. Despite her son's death in the manga, Rouge was also saddened by the loss of many in this war. If a true hero of justice like Garp were to appear, this brutal war might be the catalyst for that. Roger said with a smile. Well, whether we like it or not, it seems this war is heading to its end, my dear. Roger held the few remaining pages of the volume between his fingers. This sign clearly indicated the approaching end of the greatest arc so far. Huh, who's that? A submarine? Rouge was surprised to see a familiar new character appearing at the end of the chapter. She also realized that the volume was about to end. Finally, this nightmare was nearing its end. With its end would come a new beginning for the son now living in her womb. It was also a new beginning for Luffy, who seemed to have all the favorable circumstances aligning to save his life, no matter how dire the conditions. After all, the doctor has arrived. That wraps up this part of What If Becoming a Mangaka in One Piece World. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.